you, if you're following our videos, we have about $2 million in grants. And what we're using this money for is, first of all, we're in the drain business. So we have really sort of daylighted, I guess you could say. We've taken out a lot of old concrete pipes that were very impervious circle. You know, they're old. That's how everybody designed drains way back in the day. And now, by taking all those concrete pipes out and sort of daylighting it, we've let, our idea here is that Mother Nature is now going to be able to absorb sediments, phosphorus, nitrogen, various kinds of elements when the heavy storms come, instead of just what we call flashiness, where it's just flashing down these concrete pipes, entering into the Clinton River and then out into Lake St. Clair. So instead of that, we're going to take a lot of the kinds of things that we don't want going out into the lake out before that happens. Now in the interim, we have here the invert of the Sterling Relief Drain. Again, this is a 5.5 mile drain that starts from the intersects at the border of Oakland County and Macomb County. Years ago when this was designed, at that time this was called Sterling Township. And it was designed with the idea that it would drain Sterling Heights and Troy. Although as it evolved, Troy never got involved with this drain. So this is for Sterling Heights. But if you think about this huge drainage district with all of these various the kinds of development that's here on Mound Road, on Van Dyke, on Dodge Park, on Shaner, etc., because this drain runs between 16 Mile and 15 Mile, runs down, goes behind Freedom Hill, then into the Clinton River, and then out ultimately into Lake St. Clair. So we have a grant that we think we can do about 2.5 miles of this drain. We've daylighted it, as I've told you, and then what we're doing now in the invert is we're beginning to plant. We want to get this planting in while the season is still with us. Quite frankly, I can't believe the weather that we're having. I think September is now my favorite month. Although maybe October, once all the beautiful trees start to change. But anyway, this is just a sample of a plug. So this is a landscaping company that we've hired. And of course, we had our landscaping engineer determine what kinds of plants we could plant at the bottom of this drain where it's going to be wet. It's going to be wet a lot of the times, obviously. That's what a drain does. In the heavy wet weather events, it's going to be very wet here. So we need to have some sort of native Michigan species that will be able to live in the wet weather. It's not always wet, but when it is, it needs to be able to have that survivability. And then as we go up into the drier parts of the invert of this drain, we have a different kind of mix. And so this landscaping group here has got flats and flats of various types, mixture of Michigan native species, just as we have invasive species in the lakes with the Asian carp or whatever. In Michigan, unfortunately, we have a lot of invasive plant life also. We don't want that, so we want all Michigan mix. So we're standing in front of one of our manholes here that goes in the Sterling Relief Drain. Now it's interesting because a lot of people don't understand that we actually have a huge under drain that runs underneath the invert of this Sterling Relief Drain. So not only do we have the availability of huge amounts of capacity here for stormwater with the existing drain, but underneath the drain, underneath the earth, are huge storm drains. Again, there's an under drain that runs here. So this is one of our manholes. I just want to point that out because it's really imperative. Again, and we've inspected all of these. We've fixed a lot of the manholes that had been knocked off because of, you know, cutting the grass or just age. Kids come down here and play. You know, whatever is happening. Kids are not supposed to be down here playing, by the way. They do. So anyway, I just wanted you to also know that in addition to this big drain, we have an under drain that happens here. And again, as we finish our planting, go into the planting season, the timeline on this project will go into essentially by the end of the year. That's sort of what we're hoping, that we get most of our plantings done by the end of the year. In addition to plugs like this, which I already pointed out is along the bottom of the drain, what we're actually going to be doing is planting hundreds and hundreds of trees and shrubs and other kinds of things up in the dry area, upland here. So the whole transformation of the Sterling Relief Drain is essentially going to go from what it was really sort of a barren looking drain. We're going to transform this place. We're going to transform it. And it's I'm sure the video is not picking up, but we've already seen a whole bunch of monarch butterflies down here. And once we get all of these plants going here in this invert, about 2.5 miles long, our idea is this will be a butterfly flyway. And as we speak, monarchs, of course, are in their migration mode right now. They migrate down to Mexico. Hopefully, as the years go on here, we're going to help them out a lot.